To create the new patient record, firstly click on the New button. This will enter the cursor into the title field. The easiest way to complete a new patient record is by using the Tab button on the keyboard to move through the fields in order. Type the title and then press the Tab button. This will put the cursor in the forename field. Because this is an unsaved record, iClarity will auto-capitalise the name fields when you tab out of them. This auto-capitalisation is disabled once the record has been saved. The salutation field is predicted by iClarity by joining the title and surname, but you can overtype this if necessary. iClarity will also predict the gender from the drop-down list of the patient to match the title you have entered. You will need to check this, and you may need to amend it if a non-gender specific title has been entered, such as doctor or professor. If you have a patient who would like to register as non-binary, enter MX into the title field. Or you can select non-binary from the gender drop-down list. Tab button to go to the date of birth field. If the patient is under 16, the background of the date of birth field will go red to signify the patient should ideally have an adult present with them in practice. Press Tab on the keyboard to move through the telephone number fields, entering telephone numbers where relevant. If you enter a mobile number for the patient, it's important you check and possibly amend the communication preference for the patient's mobile phone. In the drop-down list, you have the following options. Contact by SMS, yes. This means the patient is happy to receive all types of communication by SMS. This includes communications that are personal to them, such as your specs are ready to collect, and non-individual SMS communications, such as marketing. Contact by SMS, recall only. This means the patient is happy to receive text messages, but only those that are personal to them, such as you are due an appointment or your contact lenses are ready for collection. The system will not include the patient in any marketing communications sent by SMS from the system. Contact by SMS, phone only. This means the patient is only happy to receive phone calls on their mobile. The system will not send the patient any text messages. It can be useful to be aware that you can write into any of the phone fields, including the mobile field. For example, if this is a child's record, you may wish to write the owner of the mobile phone number you have recorded. For example, Mum. In the mobile number field, there is a tick box labelled smartphone. If this box is ticked, then iClarity registers this patient as having a mobile number that can receive emails. When you send confirmation reminders of booked appointments to patients, patients with the smartphone box ticked will receive an email rather than a text message. You can enter an email for the patient in the email box. If you enter an email for the patient, again it is important that you check and amend where required the patient communication preference for email. Email news updates, yes. Means that the patient will not only receive individual emails specific to them, such as appointment reminders, but they will also receive marketing emails. Email news updates, no. This means the patient will not be included in marketing communications, but will receive emails specific to them. Email news updates declined. This option will prevent any emails being sent to the patient from the system and can also be used to note that in the past the patient has declined to give their email address. The next field is a drop-down select for NHS reason. Private patients should have NA selected. iClarity will automatically change an NHS reason based on date of birth. For example, if the patient is over 60. Advise that the NHS reason for a patient is checked every time before booking an appointment. This is because once an NHS reason has been selected, it will not be unselected by iClarity. For example, when a patient turns 17, it will not change from under 16 to NA or full-time education. This is because there is more than one possible option that could be relevant. The NHS reason field is used for things such as bulk GOS form printing and fee selection. The next field is an information field. If the patient is entitled to a GOS3 voucher, you can select yes in the voucher eligible. Next, tab to the address field. This will put the cursor in the postcode field. Enter the patient's postcode and then press enter on your keyboard. This will autofill the patient's address using the postcode finder. You just need to enter the house number or name. If the patient has a house name or you need to enter a flat number, you can click the down arrow. This will move all the address lines down one so that you have space to enter this information. If you've looked up a patient's address, the tick box next to the postcode is unticked. This deactivates the postcode lookup facility so that the patient's address cannot be accidentally overwritten. If in the future you need to change the patient's address, tick the box next to the postcode first, then enter the new postcode and click enter on the keyboard. The next field to be completed is the patient's GP. Click on the drop-down arrow in this field to display the possible GPs you can choose from. This list of GPs available comes from within the maintenance section of iClarity. Depending on the setup of your iClarity, you may or may not be able to edit the GPs from the front screen. Clicking on the Details button next to the selected GP will display the details of the surgery and their contact information. The corporate field is to be used if the patient is part of a corporate scheme, has an employer that has arranged to pay for examination or spectacles, or is entitled to a local scheme. Once you have completed all the necessary fields for the patient, click Save. The system is set to require certain information. You will get a reminder if this has not been filled in. Once the patient record is saved, it will be given a patient identification number. You will be able to search for the patient using this identifier number. Now that the patient record has been saved, you will be able to access the other record tabs. It's recommended that you click on the Further Details tab to start with. The Details tab contains many other useful information fields that are not included on the front screen. They are on the Further Details tab because they contain information that is not vital when opening a patient record, but depending on the patient registering at the practice, you may find some of them useful to complete. For example, the national insurance number, or the patient source, or the patient's college. This is also where you can assign available analysis codes, such as if your patient is diabetic, These analysis codes can then be seen on the front page. Patient source refers to the way the patient found out about the practice. The field contains a drop-down list of options that are added to the maintenance system. This is a useful field to complete as it can be reported on and can give insight into the reasons why patients are registering at the practice and which of your marketing is most effective. Please see our next video, Searching for an Existing Patient.